What's up guys, welcome back to another video, and today, as y'all can tell by the title, I got y'all with the top 5 albums of all time. And I want to remind y'all, this is based on my opinion, music that I've listened to over time, and music that had the most effect on me. So these are my favorite albums. I'm not saying that there are albums that shouldn't be put on this list. I don't want y'all to judge me too much on this, because this is it, this is me. Now I'm gonna go ahead and before we get straight into the video, I'm gonna name some rappers or some music, some artists that, you know, that are people that I listen to and that may have not made the list but may have made the list. So I listen to all types of different music, and unfortunately one of my favorite bands that I listen to right now and that I've been listening to for like the past year is The Wallows. If you know what The Wallows are, it's this guy who's played in 13 Reasons Why, Clay Jensen, the lead singer of The Wallows. It's an alternative band, they're amazing. Another type of music that I listen to, Bryson Tiller, Drake, you know, Tyler the Creator, one of my favorite artists for sure. Wiz Khalifa, another one of my favorite artists. I like Justin Bieber, I loved one of his last few albums. Travis Scott, Brent Faiyaz. I listen to a mixture of all types of stuff. You know, old music like Tyga, Lil Wayne, you know, Frank Ocean. I'm all over the place. I listen to all types of different music. It's kind of just what I'm feeling to, and like in the mood that I'm in is what I'm gonna listen to basically. So with that being said, let's get straight into the list. So I made this list from Masterpiece, which is literally like the best of the best albums that I listen to. It's like from start to finish you can listen to. I made Iconic, which is also like a really good album. You know, it's not necessarily a masterpiece in my opinion, but it's right there, right below it. Now I'm not gonna take any discredit from that album. Amazing is just like beyond great, and Great is just like really good. So basically, honorable mention as well, I'm gonna have that. So it's basically top 5, the honorable mentions, because there's gonna be stacked because I have like a total of like 10 or 12 albums, something like that. But I'm gonna put the honorable mentions. I'm gonna start with those because those are just albums that I really like that y'all are probably gonna be like, what are those albums doing in here? But they're also albums that like, you're gonna be surprised by. So let's get straight into this. Right here, I got my honorable mention with Mac and Devin Go to High School. Y'all are gonna be like, what? But I'm gonna tell y'all, junior year of high school, I used to listen to this album literally from start to finish. And for this being an album for like a movie, not to mention Mac and Devin is a great movie, and I just like French Inhale, Young, Wild and Free, 530, World Class, all the albums on this song are just like iconic. And like if you go back and listen to that album, it's gonna give you a sense of nostalgia, and you know, just it's overall a great album that you just wouldn't expect to be on a list for anybody, and probably an album that you probably forgot about, considering Young, Wild and Free was a #1 song. Bruno Mars, Snoop Dogg, and Wiz Khalifa, can't go wrong. An honorable mention, I'm gonna put this one on here because this is a really good album, but I'm gonna be kind of stingy with these picks right here. This is kind of hard to make because I got all the albums on here, but it's like, which ones do I put where now? It's like I'm kind of thinking about it. I got my masterpieces, but it's like now I'm just like, you know, honorable mention probably be, we'll go with Laugh Now Fly Later. I know a lot of y'all might not know that album, but it's a Wiz Khalifa album that came out my senior year, and it has City of Steel, Stay Focused. Those are all great songs on the album, and it's like that entire album was just a song that I like, an album that I used to vibe out to, me and my friends, me and Carter. And I remember my friend back in high school, he listened to it as well. It's like, it's just one of those underrated albums that you're gonna be like those are both 2 underrated albums, and it's like Wiz Khalifa on both of them, because Wiz Khalifa used to be my favorite artist of all time. He's definitely still up there. I just don't listen to much of his new music as I used to listen to his old music, but at the same time, this is just one of those albums that if you go back and listen to, it's a vibe. It's one of those chill vibes, you know what I'm saying, Wiz Khalifa type of vibes, but you can't go wrong with it. I got one more honorable mention actually right here. Got Rolling Papers 2. And a lot of people, I mean, it didn't get as much love as it should have got, but this album is a great album. So it could have gone to great or honorable mention. It's an either or kinda, but this album, Hopeless Romantic, Late Night Messages, Be Okay, the song with, what's his name? I can't even remember the name of the song, but he's like, Lil Skies. I think it's Lil Skies. I'm pretty sure. I can't think of it. Blue Hunted. There's a bunch of good songs on that. Penthouse. There's so many good songs on that album. And it's like, it didn't get to the level of recognition that Wiz Khalifa got with his first Rolling Papers, but at the same time, it's one of those albums that's just like, it was iconic at the time. And it was my, going into, like, I just graduated senior year, going into freshman year of college, and I listened to this album, and I remember it was late night, vibing to Wiz Khalifa, you know what I'm saying, rolling around, doing my thing, you know what I'm saying? Next up, we got the great albums. And with this one, I'm gonna start it off with Justin Bieber, Changes. That's a great album. It could honestly even go into amazing in my opinion, which it might be, like it's right there. It could have probably gone amazing, but I know a lot of y'all were like, what? Like nobody really liked that album as much as it should have. Like, it didn't get as much love as I would have thought. A lot of people were like, oh, it sounds like this, it sounds like ringtones or something, but I really had a deep connection with that album all throughout, and I've always liked Justin Bieber, but back in the day you would get hated on for liking Justin Bieber, so at the same time it's like I didn't really put it out there as much as I do now. It's like open, like whatever, I don't care. I like Justin Bieber, he makes good music, he has a voice. Next album, we got Bryson Tiller, Trap Soul. Y'all cannot tell me that this album did not slap back in the day. This is a great album. Exchange, Don't, those were all #1 hits. A lot of people don't like those songs, but there are a lot of people that do like those songs. 10, 9, 14, all the songs, like the underrated songs as well. And Just Another Interlude, all the music that y'all probably don't listen to on this album was just amazing. From start to finish, basically. Now we're gonna move on to the amazing albums. And with this one, I'm gonna start it off with Not All Heroes Wear Capes, and this album smacked. Metro Boomin went crazy. He had Drake, he had Sway Lee, 21 Savage. He is a GOAT. I love 21 Savage. This entire album was insane. Masterpiece of production. Which leads me to my next album, which is also a masterpiece. Kanye West, The Life of Pablo. This is a great album. And a lot of people don't like Kanye, but a lot of people do like Kanye. And I'm one of the people that says, you know, Kanye, what he's done is crazy. About talking as Kanye as a person, but I'm talking about the music on this album. Father Stretch My Hand Part 2, all those songs were just like bangers. This album is insane, and you just can't go wrong with the song on this album. I'm telling you. Now we're gonna move on to the iconic albums, and this is getting up there. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna start off with Cozy Tapes 1. Cozy Tapes Volume 1 was insane. We need another collaboration like this with Tyler the Creator, all the way up to A$AP Rocky. A$AP Rocky's a GOAT too. This album is iconic. Telephone Calls, Nasty World, all the songs on this album. This was one of those albums that I could listen to start to finish, and every single song on that album was a banger. It was an underrated album. A few songs on this album were actually like really popping, but those of you that know, this is overall iconic album. Another iconic album would be Birds in the Trap Singing McKnight, and this is one of those albums again that you can listen from start to finish. This is that Travis Scott that's like dark, it's gross, and it's just like it hits different, late night vibes, you know, but all the way up to bangers like Beebs in the Trap. All these songs are just like insane, and Travis Scott makes a bunch of bangers. Like all of his albums are really good, but this one in my opinion is my favorite, and everybody else will be like Astro World, Rodeo, Days Before Rodeo. All those albums are good, but this one just hit different for me. This gives me all the vibes from back in the day. If you're reading this, It's Too Late is just another one of those albums like Legend, Energy, 10 Bands, No Talent, Star 67, Wednesday Night Interlude, Used To, Jungle. All those songs are just outstanding. Preach. Literally, this is one of those albums that, like, you will admit is an iconic album. It just had that type of, like, you know, vibe for every single person on this album. All the music that he makes, I just connect to on a different level. It's like you can connect to their music in like so many different ways, which will lead me into my next and last portion of this video, Masterpiece. And when you go into Masterpiece, you're talking about start to finish, a beautiful album. Albums that are iconic, amazing, great, and just overall a masterpiece. And we'll start it off with Tyler the Creator, Igor. Igor was one of those albums where it's just like, this album was produced, written, and made by Tyler the Creator himself. That is insane. That's like one of those things where it's like, not everybody has the ability to produce, write, sing, rap, do all that on one single album by yourself, mind you. That's just a masterpiece overall by Tyler the Creator. He's one of my favorite artists, definitely top 5 artists for me, and shout out to Tyler for this album. He won a Grammy off of it, so that doesn't say something, I don't know what does. Next album, we're gonna go with Take Care. And this one I put on here because this is just a masterpiece in my opinion. I don't listen to it as much, but I definitely still do. HYFR, The Motto, Marvin's Room, Over My Dead Body, Shot For Me, these are all just songs that are just like from start to finish. Like I'm saying, this album is just a masterpiece. You can't go wrong with it. Take Care is a vibe for every single person. No matter what mood you're in, you can listen to Take Care. And it's like, by no means am I saying that any of these other albums aren't supposed to be on that, and there's a lot of albums that I probably am missing, but I'm saying from my experience, this is definitely one of those albums that is a masterpiece. And coming down to it all, my last favorite album of all time, my number one album of all time, hands down, is, guess, it's Drake. Now guess, but it's Views. Views is my favorite album of all time, start to finish, a masterpiece. This is my favorite work of art by Drake, and I want to tell y'all why. And this album came out in a time where I was in Rome, I was in Italy, so it's like this album came out when I was over there, and I remember everybody was listening to it. With You was all over the radio, Controller was all over the radio. I was in Rome, I was in a completely different country listening to this album. Times were completely different. This was a different type of era for music. And it's like, this was the end of a generation, I feel like, for music. Not just this album, but like a few of these albums. Like, if you're reading this too late, Views, it was just like the end of an era. And it wasn't until like last year that I really started listening to it again, because this is one of those albums I never stopped listening to. But like, I start finding new songs, or like songs that I didn't really listen to as much back in the day, I started listening to again. Like You With Me, Redemption, that song is a vibe. You can't go wrong with it. Hype, Still Here, With You, Western Road Flows, 9, Keep the Family Close to Grammys, Child's Play, Hotline Bling. All these songs on this album are just insane, and I love this album. And this album is by far my number one favorite album probably of all time at the moment. I mean, it's susceptible to change at any time, but like I'm saying, without a doubt, this is my favorite album. Like I said, this list is based off of things that I've like had a connection with to the album. Each single one of these albums goes to back in a point in time to where I really had a deep connection with like songs on it. You know, what is life without music, honestly? Every single one of these albums just hits at home from somewhere. It gives me, like each album, I can say from start to finish takes me back, and I'm looking at the albums and I'm like thinking of certain points in time as to when I was listening to these albums. Other few honorable mentions like of rappers that I didn't say at first, or like people, is like 21 Savage, Blueface. Those types of rappers are just goated, and at the same time it's like they didn't make the album, or like the top albums, but at the same time they're still definitely up there for me. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Make sure y'all smash the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, let me know what types of content y'all want to see next, and I'll catch y'all guys in the next one. I'll see y'all guys later.